When you think about it, farming is one of the oldest and most fundamental things we humans do. For thousands and thousands of years, it has been the absolute engine of civilization. It shaped our societies, our landscapes, and, well, our very survival. But the way we do it today, that has gone through a transformation that is nothing short of incredible.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How on earth did we get from a simple hand in the dirt to a satellite whizzing around in orbit, guiding a tractor with pinpoint accuracy? How did this ancient craft become a cutting-edge science?
The journey between these two images right here, well, it covers about 10,000 years of innovation, struggle, and sheer human genius. It's the story of how we figured out how to feed a growing world. So let's dive in and start right at the very beginning. Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this evolution, we first need to make sure we're all on the same page. What do we actually mean when we say farming? At its core, it's a system. It's both the science and the industry behind working the soil, growing crops, and raising animals. It's not just about, tossing a seed in the ground and hoping for the best. It's a deliberate, organized process to produce food. All right, let's go way, way back in time to meet the true pioneers of this whole process, the very first farmers, and see how they worked with the land. You have to imagine, early farming was this incredibly intimate partnership with nature. Everything was powered by human muscle and guided by knowledge passed down through generations. Farmers had these small plots of land, usually right near rivers, and they relied completely on natural rain and whatever fertility the soil happened to have. They grew multiple crops together, that's called polyculture, and crucially, they began the long, slow work of domesticating plants like wheat and animals like cattle. Now this right here, this was an absolute game changer, harnessing animal power. The plow, pulled by oxen, meant that farmers could suddenly turn over way more soil with so much less effort. This really paved the way for larger-scale farming for the first time in human history. And their toolkit was simple, but honestly pretty ingenious. You had sickles for harvesting, sure, but also brilliant bits of engineering like terraced hillsides to stop erosion and intricate canal systems to manage water. These were the foundational technologies that fed the first cities and empires for literally millennia. And for thousands of years, those basic ideas didn't really change all that much. But then, starting a few hundred years ago, the pace of change just exploded. Farming was about to go through three massive revolutions that would completely remake our world. First, you've got the Neolithic Revolution. That's when we first settled down to farm in the first place. Then, much later, as the Industrial Revolution packed people into cities, the Agricultural Revolution brought in machines to feed them. And finally, in the 20th century, with a booming global population, the Green Revolution brought scientific breakthroughs that just supercharged food production. Now, what's really fascinating when you look at it this way is the pattern that emerges. See, each revolution solved a huge problem, but it also created a new one. The Neolithic Revolution, it gave us civilization, but it came at the cost of deforestation. The Agricultural Revolution, it fed the new cities for sure, but its methods sparked early environmental worries. And the Green Revolution, well, it fed billions, but it brought a whole new set of challenges tied to chemical fertilizers and pesticides. It's this constant cycle of progress and then figuring out how to solve the problems that progress created. Which brings us right up to today and what many are calling the start of a fourth great revolution. This one isn't driven by plows or chemicals, but by something else entirely: data. Welcome to the era of smart farming. The core idea here is called precision agriculture. And what it means is that instead of treating a huge field as one uniform block, you use technology to manage it like a complex mosaic of different conditions. It's a total shift from farming by the acre to farming by the square foot. So how does this actually work? Well, it's a pretty logical four-step process. First, you collect just massive amounts of data, using everything from sensors in the soil to drones and satellites in the sky. Second, you analyze all that data to understand the specific needs of every single part of your field. Third, you use automation and AI to deliver exactly what's needed: water, fertilizer, whatever, right where it needs to go and nowhere else. And the end result? A system designed for maximum sustainability and, of course, efficiency. Okay, one of the absolute cornerstones of this entire revolution is a technology called Geographic Information Systems, or GIS. Just think of it as the ultimate, super-powered mapping tool for a modern farmer. And the difference this makes is just profound. A GIS map doesn't just show you a field, it reveals all these hidden patterns. It maps out exactly which parts of the soil are rich in nutrients and which are poor.
It can pinpoint the very beginning of a pest problem or show you exactly which zones are thirsty for water. It basically turns guesswork into data-driven certainty.
Right, but having a super detailed map is great and all. But what's the point if you can't do anything with that information? That's where the second key piece of tech comes in. Variable Rate Technology, or VRT. This is the action-oriented partner to GIS.
So VRT is what lets farm machinery change what it's doing based on where it is in the field. The early systems were map-based, so they'd follow a preloaded prescription from that GIS map. But the really cutting-edge stuff is sensor-based. That's where a tractor can use real-time sensors to, say, read the health of the crops it's passing over and adjust how much fertilizer it's applying on the fly instantly.
So from a simple digging stick to a self-adjusting, satellite-guided machine, it is an incredible leap. So let's get to the bottom line. Why does all of this matter so much right here, right now?
It matters because we are facing a truly monumental challenge, feeding a growing global population on a planet that's constantly changing. And this quote, it just sums up the whole new philosophy perfectly. It's all about using data to finally break that old cycle of progress creates new problems and instead achieve this delicate, crucial balance between productivity and sustainability.
The takeaways here are pretty clear and incredibly important. The goal is to grow more food on less land, using less water and fewer chemicals. By cutting down on waste and minimizing pollution from things like fertilizer runoff, precision agriculture isn't just a smart business decision, it's absolutely essential for the health of our environment.
So, we've gone from soil to satellite. We've watched farming evolve from a basic act of survival into this complex, data-driven science. And now, as artificial intelligence gets more and more integrated into the whole process, the next revolution is already kicking off. It leaves us with one big, fascinating question to think about. As AI really enters the field, what will the next harvest bring?